Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for joining us. Welcome, everybody. We welcome you to the movement. We are a motivational organization veered to educate minds, empower, nurture, and transform. And as Annette L. Anderson so wonderfully says, we are a movement to move. She always rolls her neck on that part. We are a movement. Yes, we are a movement to move. We want to help you thrust into your purpose so that you can start living your best life and win. We've tapped into some winning streams, some winning information, and we just want to share it. We want everybody to win, right, Annette?
Yes, we do. And yes, I like to do my name because I want you to hear a movement to move. So every syllable, I want you to understand that we're about winning and getting you to the next level. And when we come on here, it helps us too. So we're here, we're excited, and we're ready to get it moving.
All righty then. Well, tonight our topic is so interesting. And it took me back, girl. It took me back. It took me back to my college days because, I used to look at myself as a pretty good writer. I was like, okay, I can write a little bit. All right, I'm cool. I'm good. I got A's all the time on my term papers. So, I'm straight. And I'll never, I was pretty confident. I thought I was the bomb.com. Not until I'll never forget my first semester at Bethune University. It was BCC back then. It was Bethune-Cookman College. But at Bethune-Cookman College, my first paper that I wrote in my English class, I got it back. You know how they give you this writing assignment on the first day, tell them about yourself, So I was just writing. I'm like, I'm a good writer. It's all colorful. It's got all the nice little stories. And, I can paint the picture for you. I'm like, good, I know what I'm doing here. Man, I got that thing back. It was more red than black. I was like, what is going on? Why is my paper so red? There were errors, grammatical errors, mostly punctuation. And I thought, for the most part, I was good. I didn't realize I, wrote a lot of fragments and my punctuation was way off. So tonight's topic deals with those things, and we actually kind of mesh them into life, comma, semicolon, period. At the end of the day, we want to make sure, a lot of times we want to make sure that everything in our life is clear and it makes sense. If you had one big run, I've read text messages and posts where there is no punctuation. It's just one big run-on saying. You have to kind of figure out what the person is trying to say. Have you guys ever dealt with anything like that? Feel free to type in the chat. Have you ever read a post and you want to take out your pen and just mark? Like, okay, put a period there, put a comma there. So I want to pull open our presentation. We're going to go into this discussion tonight. Y'all give me just a minute because I did not even open it up, so I have to open it up. But I was so, punctuation, when you look at punctuation marks, which is what those are. Punctuation marks are very necessary. I want to say that to all of the little millennials, because they start typing and writing like they speak.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
They write, they type, they text exactly the way they speak. And it's like, that ain't good. There's something wrong here. So I want us to deal with what punctuation is. It's the act or practice of inserting standardized marks or signs in written matter to clarify the meaning or separate structural units. That's what it's there for. It clarifies the meaning, because when I'm reading your run-on sentence in a post, I have to read it 3 or 4 times to make sense of it. And oftentimes in life, some of our practices and some of the things that we do and some of the, how we govern ourselves in our businesses and in our, just daily in general, sometimes we need to stop and just deal with the punctuations in our life. And I'm going to do it a little early. I'm going to do it a little early because I know y'all already know that I'm going to give y'all a little lesson tonight. It's coming a little early. Let me move this stuff out the way so I can get your lesson for you tonight. And basically, the word punctuate is a verb. What we're dealing with are punctuation marks. Punctuation marks is the practice. It's a different tense. But when we look at actually what do, they punctuate. Punctuate is a verb. Now, we already know intransitive and intransitive. I'm going right there. The intransitive verb punctuate means to use punctuation marks. That thing bothered me so bad. I was like, what the ham and eggs am I supposed to do with that? There's no other definition. I was surfing and couldn't find anything else under the intransitive verb. However, the transitive verb says to mark, divide, to break into, or to interrupt intervals, to accentuate or emphasize. I'm like, no wonder, because all of the stuff that it says that you can do with it is under the transitive tense. But what it does and what you do and how it functions is in intransitive. So I'm like, what does that mean? And the thing is, I want you to notice something. A lot of times when I'm talking about the difference between the tenses of the verb, the main thing that I want you to understand is that intransitively, we may have all of the information. We may have, all of the stuff required, all of the resources, everything, but we have not put it in action. Mm-hmm. And we know that a verb is an action verb, but a verb can be described in a transitive or intransitive state based on whether it requires an object to express a complete thought. Because a transitive verb is one that only makes sense if it exerts its action on an object. But an intransitive verb will make sense without it because it just is. So it makes no sense for me to just operate in one tense. So I know what the punctuation marks are and I'll use them. I could just throw them out just like they are on this screen in front of you. But they make no sense right there. But when I put them in the places where they belong, then it brings clarity.
Yeah.
So I want you all to take a look at your life. Comma, semicolon, period, you choose. You know where you need to put all of these punctuation marks. Because you know what needs to be broken up, you know what needs to be divided, you know what needs to be accentuated, you know what needs to be emphasized in your life. But you're the only one that can make that happen. So what happens a lot of times is that we do just this. Let me get rid of all of this. I want y'all to disappear on me here. Boom, boom, boom. Believe I'll run on, see what the is gonna be. Look at you, Annette. You went to church already. So most of us do just that.
Yeah.
And oftentimes, okay, I'm gonna kick y'all out. Boom, and I'm gonna bring y'all down here. Boom. Most of the time, we put ourselves in this place right here. And just like the song says, and just like that sentence or that text or that paragraph that makes no sense does, you're in that position. Well, believe I'll run on. And you run, and you run, and you run, and you run.
I love that.
Huh?
I said, I love that.
Yeah, and that's what happens. That's what we do, though, Annette.
Yeah.
We get into that mode, and we just don't stop running. I felt like running. We get like Forrest Gump and just run. And I know that there are times, when it comes down to it, there are times I just want to be right there. I want to just run. But what you have to do is you have to look past what, when we go through this position in life and when we just want to run, and then our vision or our purpose comes back like my paper, we have to learn to look beyond the red marks. Because your vision or purpose might look like my paper with a whole bunch of red marks, a whole bunch of mistakes that you made, a whole bunch of fragments, a whole bunch of just run-on sentences and misused prepositional phrases and all of those wonderful things. I am not a scholar. So don't even test me right there to ask me all these little questions. I'm going to stop y'all right there. I'm not a scholar. However, I can tell you one thing. I know how to get my stuff critiqued. And there are times when I'm not sure. I'll read that thing about 10 times. Like, does this make sense? One of my clients called me today. She said, I'm trying to post something, but it doesn't sound right. And when she read it to me, it was so jacked up. I was like, no, baby, it was Monique. You know, she was on the television show last night. And she's like, no, don't post that. And she couldn't find her publicist. So she called me. I was like, okay, let's work on this a little bit. And it was a simple sentence, but her polar English and Spanish wasn't working for her. And she was trying to figure out how to put it together. So a lot of times we're in a position like that. We don't know how to put something together, but we need to learn to call on the ones who do. And we need to learn to look beyond the red marks. Yes, the red marks are there. Yes, you made some mistakes. Yes, you didn't, follow through with something. But guess what? That's what the red marks are there for. So go through and start dealing with the red marks. Where there, when we first started out on this thing and we were getting kicked off of Facebook and Instagram. Well, we weren't getting kicked off of Instagram. We were getting kicked off of Facebook like every 15 minutes. I was like, me and Annette couldn't even be in the conversation and can we talk? Because 5 seconds into the stream, she getting kicked off with a little square at the top. And I'm like, okay, let me see if I can find Annette. And then I have to go and find her and bring her back. That was a red mark. When we first started, we used to, I know I used to film about 30 videos and that before I got the one. When we started posting the live videos.
Yes, Lord.
Oh my goodness. I didn't like the way my lips moved. I would mess up a word. I would stumble. I would forget my phrase. My eyes looked funny. Anything would happen. It was a red mark. When I started my artist development business, I had some serious red marks. I'll never forget my second location. I scheduled an open house, and guess what? The building wasn't finished. When me and Athena showed up, there was dust and dirt, and I can't even begin to tell you how horrible it looked. And guess what I forgot to do? Forgot to cancel my invites. And here's the funniest thing. I had bought food to invite them to see the building and to nibble. I'm like, come on and join us. We're gonna have food and we're gonna do blah, 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 all this stuff. And they started showing up in the midst of the rubble. And guess what? It was a red mark. But guess what? We got past it.
Yeah.
And they didn't care. Somebody came in. I think it was one student that came in. He said, well, this is horrible. He said something negative and then became one of my longest clients. I'm like, well, that was his first time and I had forgotten to cancel because we were so caught up. It was a red mark. So we have red marks. Just because you reach the point that you don't know what to do past that doesn't mean that you stop. You've made the leap of faith. So you just keep moving. You get rid of the red marks. Yeah. The other thing I want to talk about is I've named this one comma chameleon. Chameleon can be anything, like adjust just like what's the gecko that changes colors, except the one in Dr. Dolittle too. He never changed colors until they changed the room. He's like, yes, I did it. No, you didn't. They painted the room green. He would not change colors. Well, a comma is a pause or an interval. So sometimes your life comes to just that. But it does not mean that you are not going to pick up again. We talked about this when we talk about shifting gears, that when you take off in first gear and you have to have that little pause to go into second, and sometimes you don't know what to do with that clutch and the car cut off, or especially when you're going into first gear mainly. But sometimes second gear too, and you start jerking and jerking and jerking. It's just a little pause, but you're shifting gears to go to the next level. But the other thing about the comma is that sometimes, the reason why I named it comma chameleon is that sometimes we can get this confused with another punctuation mark. And that's because the semicolon also has the same look as a comma. But a comma can also be an apostrophe. And a comma can also be put together as quotes. There are several different uses for that one thing, and I call it comma chameleon. But when we get to the semicolon, and I want to talk about a semicolon, the semicolon is a coordinating function between sentences. Because when there's no conjunction there, conjunction, I just wanted to put that there. Conjunction, what's your function? I don't know, most of y'all might be too young. I know your daughter too young. I don't know if Yolanda know anything about the electric company in Sesame Street. Wasn't it Sesame Street that did that conjunction, what's your function? It was one of those. I can't remember which cartoon it was. But when there's no conjunction there, then we have to place a semicolon. So it's the coordinating function. It ties those two things together. Sometimes when we have a situation where we may have a person who, I'll put it to you, this is electric company. She did know. Yolanda knew it was the electric company. I guess you ain't so young, Yolanda. Mm-hmm. You watch Sesame Street in the electric company. Go on, girl. So the thing is, when we have, like, I know that there are times that we'll start out our journey with some people that are connected to us, and sometimes for the wrong reasons. And we talk about this all the time, for the wrong reasons. And we may not necessarily want to remove them, but sometimes God removes them. Don't tell my business. Sometimes God will remove them, or sometimes they'll just drop off and we're like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I don't know what to do without this person. I don't know what to do. And perhaps that person needed to go. And a lot of times we think that we can't function without certain people still connected to our journey.
True.
And if they are not there, it means they weren't supposed to be there. But what we'll do is we'll keep trying to go and get that conjunction to put it back in place to connect the two things. And sometimes you just need to put a semicolon. Like, boom, you're not there. So I'm going to place something here and we're going to keep moving. It's like a bridge that gets you to the next place.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you just have to use what you have. I remember when I was young and we used to walk to my middle school. It was junior high school, then called Campbell Junior High School. And we used to walk through the woods because it was a shortcut. And right in the middle of the woods was this one little pond that you had to get across. And there was a pipe that was sticking up out of the ground. And the thing was, who can cross this pipe without, falling in? And I never did. I remember one time somebody pushed some boy in and they were like, oh, he might. But it wasn't deep. It was just like ankle deep or whatever. But the fact was we had to cross that. And there were some times that we would find a piece of wood to put that was like wider than that. So sometimes you just have to do that. When there is no conjunction there, you find something and you use what you have that's going to bridge you to the next place, because that conjunction ain't got no function anymore. So the semicolon goes there. It's the coordinating function. Then when we get to this place, it is what it is. Period. As these kids say, period. Okay, and they spell it just like that. I was like correcting them. They're like, no, Miss Anita, that's how it's spelled. It's like, oh, I'm like, y'all a trip with all these little things. I'm learning though. Hey, that's why I say young. Hey. But when it's a completion of a cycle or a sentence or a scene or a conclusion, that's where the period goes. Does it mean that it's over? No. Guess what? You start in a whole nother sentence. It's just the completion of that cycle. Mm-hmm. And so often when we get to the period, we think, oh, well, that's over. Oh, well, ain't nothing else to do. I'm done. No, it's not over. It's not over because you reached the period of that cycle. I had to learn how to revamp so many different things in my life business-wise, because when I got to the completion of something, okay, that's over. Now I have to do something different. Yes. It's like that all the time in the music business. And I work smack dab in the middle of it. And when I get to the completion of a cycle of something, when something doesn't work anymore, or when something's functioning different, then I have to put a period there, and then I start a new sentence.
Yeah.
They don't print vinyl anymore. I don't want to be like Jerome Rome in 2019 trying to pull out a record or a cassette tape or an 8-track. Oh, I done graduated. I got the CD now. They don't use those anymore either. It's all about streaming. So I had to put a period in a lot of areas in my business and in my life and in certain things. Okay, the function is over. There's a conclusion. That cycle is complete. I put a period there and I start a new sentence. How many of you have put a period there and closed the book after one sentence, after one cycle in your vision? After one cycle, you tried it one time and you barely made it through. Oh, I broke even. Well, I made a couple of dollars. That was good. That was a great run. And you put a period there and you close the book. You can't put a period there. That's like if I put a period on the first 100 pounds I lost. If I put a period in the first 100 pounds, like, whoo, I've arrived. I have not arrived. I still have a long way to go. Yes, 100 pounds is a lot. But guess what? I have that much more and then some to go. So it doesn't make sense to stop there. Yeah. I have to keep going. I put a period on the 100. All right. So now is a new day. And guess what? I start a new sentence and I do more things and I incorporate a lot of different other information and resources and I keep the ball rolling. So let's not get caught up in that, believe I'll run on, see what the end's gonna be, believe I'll run on. No, and that you are really having church. No, let's not just sit there. You see her friend? Let's not just sit there. She having church. Look at her. She is. But we don't want you to just sit there in the believe I'll run on mentality. And just to see what the end's gonna be. We want you to create it. Create your story and live your dream, live your purpose, create it. You have the power to do that. Yes. That's what I'm talking about.
I kind of have to be like David sometime, Anita, when I'm going to have to encourage myself. So, you know, I be happy all by myself.
Oh, yeah, honey.
The options to stop a decision to keep going. When I was looking at semicolon, it's a sentence that the author could have ended, but chose not to. So there are times when you can end, but you need to learn not to do it. The author is you, and the sentence is your life.
Come on now.
So it's up to you as the author of a situation. And you're the sentence, so you have to keep writing, even when it seems like there's no hope. So semicolon is saying it could have ended right here. But there's more to the story. There's yet to be told. So I need this too. Could you put this too shall pass. I use that because I was thinking about the semicolon. It looked like it was over if I'd added the period. But because I add the semicolon, regardless of what I'm going, this too shall pass. It don't look like it's going to pass. I can even look in my own life. There have been times when, I didn't think I could make it. I thought, okay, yeah, all right, go ahead and get my cassette, tell my children to pick out my clothes because this is going to kill me. But the more I live and I look back at what I went through that I thought would kill me, that too shall pass. So we're here to let you know that regardless of where you're at now, this too shall pass. It may not look like it. That period may be there. It looks like it's going to stop you, but I declare, I'm speaking a semicolon, like anointing over your life.
You better speak a semicolon anointing.
Because you are the author and the sentence is your life. So if you're the author, you have the pen to write the rest of the story. So just know this too shall pass. And a decision is an inside job. A decision is a resolution, a settlement, a commitment. It's an inside job. It's up to you to make a decision how you're going to go from here. I love Anita, but Anita can't make all the decisions for me.
Right.
Yolanda can't make the decision for me. Brenda can't make the decision. So it's an inside job. So I have to reach down on the inside and I have to believe enough in my vision and believing enough in my dream that I can make that decision and reach on that inside, that place that nobody can go but me and God, and make that decision that I'm going to get to the next level. So I could easily sit and say, you know what, especially when I wrote the book, you know, like I talked about this already on another Can We Talk, and how when Anita released the book, my book was ready. But I had to reach out and make a decision. It was an inside job that I had finished this book, and I had to reach on the inside and put that book out in public. Because it's one thing to have a vision of the dream, and I can have it on the inside, but when you put that thing on paper,
that's a whole other
thing out there for everybody to see. So I had to make that decision, and I had to be feel good within myself. I had to make that decision, and I'll say, okay, that's it. I'm gonna release it. So it's an inside job, y'all. It's up to you what you do. It's up to you. You know, you can have a dream, you can write it down, you can have a vision board, and it's so beautiful. Oh, look what I'm going to do. Look at that car. Oh, look at that. But until you decide on the inside that it's time to go to the next level, all you will have is just beautiful pictures of cars and houses that belongs to somebody else. So you have to make a decision that it's time. And with that semicolon, hey, my story didn't end. It looked like it ended. And like I said, I could have put the period, but I decided. And your story is not over. You know what? When I'm writing my book and I'm making some corrections to my book, some things and the more I think about it, and the more I really look at my life and all the times that I thought it was over, and even writing a book, I began to say, oh, I forgot about that. Oh man. And I began to really realize the stuff that God brought me through, y'all. Because really, if the truth be told, I had wrote in my head, I was going to have about 12, 13 chapters, you know, but there's so much to be told, and I'm not going to tell it all in that one book, but my story is not over. I got chapter after chapter, you know, paragraph after paragraph. I got stuff that I was delivered from, that I had stuff that I thought I would kill me, you know, so it's not over. I don't care where you are right now in the story. You may be somewhere in your story that it don't look good, but it's not over. It's not over because there's much to be told. Every day we live, we're telling our story. What I'm saying to today, it's a story. Somebody's going to look at it later. So your story is not over. I don't care if you got a comma, a period, a semicolon. It don't matter what you use. It's not over until God says it's over. And you know what? Actually, I take that back. It's not over until you say it's over, because God had already told you what to do. It's up to you to take what he's told you to do and go forward to it. I know we like to say it ain't over till God says, oh no, it's not over till you say it's over. Because if he's giving you the vision, he's giving you the dream, he's giving you provision. Now you have it in your hand. What you going to do with it? So your story is not over. And I'm just here to let you know, I don't care what your story, I don't care what it looks like, because you could have never told me. You could have never told me this little girl from Bunny with the one red light would write a book. You could never told me that I'll be able to share my life and share stuff with you. You could never told me. Because I wrote myself off a long time ago. I always had swear I'm gonna raise my children, and I'm gonna work on my job, and then I'm gonna retire, and I probably just piddle around and maybe I do that. No, baby, my life just started at 60. God was preparing me all those years to get me where my life can really start. So your story is not over. And the next thing is this: don't stop, get it.
Stop, get it.
Because see, listen. When I was young, I was a dancer.
Oh, I bet.
I came up during the time, with the robot and all this stuff, and I had decided that I was going to go to this talent show, and I was ready. I had practice. I had my frog down. I had my robot. I was ready, and I was disappointed because the young man that we were supposed to go to dance, well, it didn't happen. But sometimes life have disappointments, but you know what, I was looking at, I said, where did that come from? And it came from Uncle Luke from Miami. I can't remember the song, but it came, and what it was, it was put in the song to encourage people to dance. Like it was encouraging kids to dance. So I decided to use that because I used to like to use it all the time. I used to like, don't stop, get it. I used to like that. And so what I'm saying is, I don't care what it looks like, Miss Brenda, Miss Yolanda, don't stop, get it. Because there's plenty out there you got to get. You think you through writing a book? You think you just got 2 books? No, baby, it's time to get it. It's time for you to start thinking about what you're going to do on that 3rd book. So don't stop, get it. You can't let life stop you, period. Question mark, exclamation mark, whatever. Don't stop, get it. So will you please type in that, say in the chat, say, don't stop, I'm going to get it. But I'm about getting what everything God has for me. I have sat back for too long watching everybody else, doing what they're supposed to do. So I just decided I'm not going to stop. I'm going to get it.
I'm going to get it.
So you have an option to stop, but you have a decision to keep going. Oh boy, I just love it. That's
a good one though. I was, I've been looking. I've been saying that since I got your points, because I tell people all the time we do not discuss each other's
we don't.
We just get on here and just have our little discussion, and we're like, oh really? And it's all like new. But I just build a PowerPoint. That's all. And I was looking at. I was like, don't stop, get it. There was Doodle Brown, wasn't it?
So we have pause, stop, and roll. Sometimes you got to pause, then you got to stop, and then you got to roll it out. So I need my first point here.
Uh-oh, my bad.
Oh, that's all right.
Hire the PowerPoint lady. Oh, you know what?
No, the PowerPoint lady actually doing good.
Fine.
And the first one I wanted to talk about is a comma. It's a pause between parts of a sentence. It also is a symbol of hope. I didn't know that. A comma is a symbol of hope. So a delay is not a denial. So just because you delayed, it don't mean that you denied. Sometimes it don't look like it. When I remember, Anita, when we were writing a book, and
which one?
I was shaking like a leaf. I'm like, Nita, what I do? Where I go?
Right.
And I really believe I didn't think I could do it. I delayed it because I was scared. But just because I delayed it, it was not denied. And just because it didn't happen yesterday, don't mean that it's not going to happen. Every now and then, God has to put a comma in your life, because sometimes we're going too fast, and sometimes we're out of line, and sometimes we're not lining up with the way things are supposed to happen. So when you look back, and you know how you want to do something so bad, like, God, why can't it? But later on in life, I say, God, now I see what you were saying. It's not time yet. It's not time to go forward. It's not time to write that book. It's not time to go speak before millions and thousands. We want to do certain things, but maybe God had to put a comma there because he's trying to get us somewhere. Because you can see a vision and it's so plain, but getting there may cause a comma, it may cause a question mark, because there are times you would question God. You say, God, why is this like this? Why is this happening? Sometimes it's an exclamation, because you get excited about it. So a delay is not a denial.
Not a denial. Wow.
It's just that it's a pause for you to step back and reflect.
Wow.
The end of one thing is the beginning of another. I use that as a period. So, and you alluded to it, but actually you said it. You didn't allude to it. Actually, but a period causes the end of something, but it starts something else. And sometimes God will put a period to the end of where you are, but that don't mean that where you are is not where you're going to be.
Oh, come on. You're going somewhere.
Yeah. Sometimes God had to put a period to that thing.
That's what the shift is.
Yes, you're moving too fast, or you're out of line. So he has to put a period. And I'm talking from experience with us, because we wanted to do something else, but God had to put a period to that thing. We're still going to do it, But God said, hold up, not yet. I want you to do some other thing. I want you to get some stuff lined up individually.
Come on,
So
man.
when you're ready in 2020,
Come on,
you'll
man.
be able to go forth without any hindrance. If we had gone forward with what we wanted to do earlier this year,
What time?
it bothered me because I was part of the hold up because I had messed up some stuff, and it bothered me. Oh yeah, I did. I messed up some stuff. I'm good with it, and you know, confession good for the soul. But when I really began to look at what happened, God said, stop, put a pin in it, go and you do those books, go and you work on your own ministry. So when you come back and you present this stuff to the world, not only will you be presenting your stuff, this stuff with the movement, but you'll also be able to present what I've told you to do individually. So he held it up.
Exactly. And then, you know, the thing is, he put a period there.
Yes.
Because other stuff has to line up.
Thank you.
And a lot of times we look at it as finality, but like you say, it doesn't mean that it's over. It means that you're going somewhere. God had to put a period to realign where we were and to get us on the right track so that we could better benefit the next sentence.
That's right. So that next sentence in your life, God said, okay, you don't now this is what's going to happen. So when we go to the next level in 2020, I'm declaring it.
Come on.
What would have happened this year? We'd have had some question marks. We'd have had some commas.
Come on, man.
Exclamation points. Because why? We were not lined up, and our sentence was ragged. There was no structure. There was no phrase. We was fragmented.
I threw my pen.
We had fragmented sentences. So the end of one thing is the beginning of another, which means God is a God that will go back. See, we put God in a box. We think he's supposed to only go forward. No, baby, God he can take, and when you're not even looking, he'll turn, it's like, stop this car and turn around and go the other way. And so that's just how it is. So the end of one thing is the beginning of another thing. And that's the period. So, Nathan. Stop, pause, and smell the roses. Sometimes you just got to stop. Period. Sometimes we run ourselves down. I know one day I was so tired. One day I said, oh my God, because I try to do something every day on my vision. If it's not, but because I write quotes, I write a quote, I go read it. I go and see what somebody else doing. I give my Bible. I'm constantly trying to get myself together. But every now and then we got to put a period to our lives. God say rest. Rest is a part of working. Because if you don't get the proper rest, you're no good to yourself nor anybody else. So you have to stop and smell the roses. And roses, I love roses. And you have to stop and look at how beautiful life is. We can get caught up in stuff. And I got to go pay my light bill. And I got this going on. And I got that. God says, stop and look at the beauty. Look what I've done. Look what I've created. So, stop, y'all. Pause and smell the roses. And finally, let the good times roll. Let the good times roll, because 2020, Anita, and I'm speaking prophetically, that's the time the good time's gonna roll. Brenda, I'm speaking to you prophetically. 2020, you doing great things now, baby. You wait till this year come in 2020. God is going to do some things like, you're doing great, but he's going to blow your mind. So we have to let the good times roll. So I'm looking forward to letting the good times roll. So that's why I have to pause. Sometimes I'm delayed, but not denied. I have to stop because I got to wait on see what God's doing. And then I have to let the good times roll, and I pause and smell the roses. So when 2020 come in, I'm getting ready to travel. I had to get my some stuff in order. I told God, I said, I'm working, but next year, and I wanted to retire in 2 years, but I told God, open the door so I can leave next year, so I can do what I'm supposed to do. Now you lining stuff up. Now things getting in order. Now it makes sense. I'm gonna say this and I'm through. Sometimes when you're going through stuff, and things are happening, it don't make sense. You're like, well, wait a minute. I got everything lined up. I got my commas, my period, my semicolon. I got everything lined up, and it don't work. But if you wait, gotta say, give you the aha moment. Like, that's why. He said, I allow all this to happen, all the commas and the question marks and whatever the periods. He said, because why? I'm gonna let the good times roll.
Wow.
So
man, girl, let me tell you. If I had an organ, well, I have the little keyboard here, but it ain't plugged up. You know, I got my key. I'm in my office here writing and streaming and voice lessons and business meetings. Well, next time I'm gonna have this keyboard ready, Brand, so we can get a little because I wanted to tune her up so bad. But that was some good information. Now, with our final point, and God, I hope y'all talk to us tonight because this is so good. My blood is boiling. Come in grammatically correct. Come into your stuff grammatically correct.
Oh, come on now.
Deal with all of the red marks so that you can come in grammatically correct. Because when it is, it makes better sense. It's more impactful. When your stuff lines up, it's more impactful. It helps people. It benefits. You have all of the tools. Everybody on here has something special that you're supposed to do instead of the day-to-day rut that we put ourselves in. We put ourselves in the rut of going to work, getting up in the morning, having our coffee, going by Starbucks, go to work, clock in, do your job, clock out, go home, cook your dinner, go watch TV, go to bed, get up in the morning, give your coffee, clock in. It's the same thing over and over again. And there's more to life than that. You have something special. You are still breathing. We want to help you thrust into that because I'm telling you, I'm going to get everything out of me that God put in me. Every little thing I think I know how to do. I start creating something for it. I start looking for revenue streams. Ooh, that'll make a good class. Ooh, that'll make a good service. Ooh, I find the way to make everything work. Why? Because God gave me this stuff. He didn't give it to me just to give to somebody else with their vision to make them richer and more fulfilled and get, I'm using my gifts for them. No, your gift is you when you're blessed to become a blessing to somebody else. And that gift is meant for you to use to bless others for you.
Yeah.
And he will bless you because you bless, and it's just like it just keeps bouncing back and forth. No, you take it. 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 And I love it. So I want us to come in grammatically correct because when we do, we provide a good read.
Ooh, okay, come on now.
Now, I want you to understand this. When we provide a good read, when I look at the word read, it means to receive the letters, symbols, etc. And then we're uttering them either inwardly or we're reading out loud. Sometimes with me, I'm a little special. I might read something, but sometimes I got to read that thing out loud, especially when I started writing my printed book. Boy, I think I've read my book about maybe 12 times, and I'm still dealing with Claudette with that thing. But I'm like, my God, heaven. And I have to read it out loud. I'm like, what are you talking about? And so when I read it out loud, I can understand it. I can hear it. So then I'm dealing with all the red marks because God knows, y'all know, those of you who publish with Pecan Tree, Brenda, Annette, you know how Claudette is. And she will come right back at you. And then she be looking so calm like this. Here's what I need you to do. And I'm like, oh my God, I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. So I want everyone to have a good read. We're receiving this information, the letters, the symbols, and everything. But guess what? When we look at this particular sentence, it has a very strange position. I heard somebody say, sometimes when you see something like this, you're like, is this really grammatically correct? And, you look at the word, it's like a good read. Is that grammatically correct? It doesn't seem to make sense to me. A good read. So when I looked at that structure, I learned that when you look at the word read, the word is a verb. And when you change the tense of it, the process by which a word that was previously functioned exclusively as a verb, but has reformed or factored as a noun in its usage. It's called nominalization, like a hard sell, a must have, a new install,
Okay.
an unexpected invite. It is a good read, which means you can turn that information into a statement. You can turn the information that you have, you can turn your business into a moment. You can turn your thoughts and your dreams into a movement. Everything that you have and what you do, remember now, when we see the vision, what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to write it. We're supposed to write down and start planning. And when we're planning and we deal with all of the red marks that come with okay, I got to look at it, I got to read this again. Oh, okay, but that doesn't belong there. Let me put a period here and a semicolon there. So now it's a good read, which means that I have changed the structure of this word and I have made it something. Oh, it was just a regular old transitive verb that had no action to it, but now it stands there. I was just talking. But I talked and I put action. And now, instead of me reading to you what I'm going to do and telling you what I'm going to do, you can see it. Why? Because it's sitting right there. It's become a noun. Oh, y'all ain't hearing that today. It's a good read. And I want all of us to make our situations a good read. Because you're the one who can make it happen. And Annette said this earlier. You're the one who holds the pen. Nobody else is correcting your situation. God gave you the vision. Don't let anybody else paint the vision you envision. We talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
You're the one who stood back and looked at that blank canvas and said, man, when I get this business open, man, when I start this thing, man, when I do this thing. So why would you let somebody else come and tell you how to do it? When God gave you the vision, you hold the pen. You're the one who can make all of the corrections, all of the additions, all of the exclusions. You're the only one that can do that because you're the only one that can make that read turn its function from a verb to a noun. Mm-hmm. The other thing is, I want you to understand this. There is nothing wrong with corrections.
Wow.
Sometimes we have to restart, refresh, and reboot and figure out what to do with this thing because it gets tough. We get to that place where we don't understand ourselves. Sometimes I don't understand me. I'm telling you how hard it is to get up sometimes in the mirror and look in the mirror and start declaring. And I'm looking at myself saying, I declare to live. And I have to look and then I have to say it until I feel like I look like myself. Because sometimes when you're saying something in the mirror, what's just so hard about it is that you don't like what's looking back at you. And so I keep saying it until I love it. I'm like, hey, that's what I'm talking about, Nina. Oh, girl, you declaring to live. Don't stop. Get it. So that's what you have to do. You have to get in the mirror constantly. And there's nothing wrong with looking at that thing and making all of the exclusions, all of the additions. So don't be afraid to do that. Pull that thing out, blow it off, and start working on it. I'm challenging everybody on here. Get back to your purpose. You're still breathing because that purpose has not fulfilled. And don't take it to the grave with you.
Yeah.
Because you know what? When you come back with a good read and you take that pen and you do everything you're supposed to do, there's nothing like being on the dean's list. You get that A+. Y'all know I'm going now. Because, we look at this like it really doesn't mean anything. Yes, it does. Because the letter A is an indefinite article. And when we look at an indefinite article, its function it's a function word before a mass noun. And when I look at, I'm like, well, where is the noun? Where is the noun? Where is the noun? Well, I put it in a sign. It's called plus. And plus means in addition, which means that when you come back with the thing in the right place and you get that A+, that is all of the plus blessings, all of the wealth, all of the good health, and all of the things that come with being in that status. We talked about average. I don't want average. I don't want to be on top of the bottom. I want to be an A plus. And guess who's the person that can get it there? You are, as the homeboy saying on Martin, you are. You are the person who can get it to that status. And I don't know about you. Now, I'm in school. I think I made the dean's list maybe 3 or 4 times, period, probably sandwiched together with high school and college. I was pretty smart, but I was also pretty, I don't know what it was about me. I was pretty smart, but the problem was I was just all over the place sometimes. I think it was the creative side. I probably should have been in a performing arts school or something like that, but back in that day, they didn't know anything about anything but go to school. And so I went to school, and the teachers barely didn't want to teach me anyway because I think we came behind the brinks of integration, and then it was like everybody was kind of getting used to it by the time I came along. You guys went through it worse, and that you and Brenda and Carrie all went through the thick of it. But in my day, it was like, it was weird, and then we had roots by the time I was in 4th grade, and everybody came to school the next day like this. And I wanted somebody to say Kizzy or Toby. I was ready to fight. I'll never forget that day. But so I never made it into that place, like on a constant basis. My best friend Melissa, she was Dean's List all the way through. I think she kind of messed up a little in college, but who doesn't? But all the way through high school, I remember she cried the first time she got a C on a test. I was like, really? You passed? I couldn't believe she was crying. But I have gotten to the point now in my personal life with my business and businesses and my streams of revenue and my visions and my movements and my organizations. I want everything A plus. I want to function everything at that level. And that's what I'm striving for. Are we there all the time? No. We got to work our way up there. But guess what? You hold the pen. And there's nothing wrong with making the corrections. And when you do, you will become that indefinite article, that word, that A, with all of the plus. And I want all of my plus.
Yeah.
I want all my plus. Man, let me tell you, this was good. This was really good tonight. I feel so enlightened and so excited for everybody on here. And we're opening up the lines if you guys want to take yourself off of mute and say something. I've taken us off of the share, but I want to open up the lines for anybody that wants to say anything. I see you, Brenda. Come on, girl.
Oh, Annette, yeah, you need to just have you like a little boom box behind you when you start going into those moments. I was like, oh my, oh my, oh my. But yeah, this is just an encouragement to continue, not just in our businesses, but in our lives. And the thing is, the two go hand in hand. If you think about it, when you work on a job and the things you learn there, and then you start to begin your own thing, the things you've gleaned from there begin to manifest in what you're doing now as far as your vision goes. I understand now why I look at things and read things the way I do. I've been working with lawyers for 34 years.
Mm-hmm.
So detail is important. Organization is important. Being able to work under pressure. And if you are part of the Pecan Tree Publishing folks, you gonna work under pressure when it comes to Miss E. Claudette Freeman.
Yes, ma'am.
But tonight was absolutely wonderful. I know that a new friend of mine is on audio. Victoria, I know you're there. You text me that you had some questions. So this is the time to pose them.
Oh, hi, Victoria. She can take herself off mute. You know how to?
Let me see.
Or does she want me to unmute her? I don't know if I need to unmute her. I can.
Yeah, go ahead and unmute her because maybe
Okay, she's unmuted.
Please.
Hi.
Okay, thank you. Because I was over here pressing the star like, how unmuted. But how you guys? How you doing?
Great. Thank you for joining us.
No problem. Anytime. I actually joined in right on time. This is like something I personally feel like I've been struggling with myself, and I'm trying to write my story, but I'm getting caught up, by these commas. Well, I'm trying to add commas to places I feel like need to be periods.
Wow.
And so it's just kind of like, you know, I'm just trying to like really, I'm sorry, I'm so emotional about it.
That's okay.
But it's like, I just want better for myself. And I don't know, I'm not from here, so I'm a college student. It's my last year. So I just really feel like it is vital to have God in your life. And I kind of want to get back to like, you know, living the right way. And so the questions I just really generally just wanted to ask was just kind of like, I know before y'all said it's like based on the decisions we have for ourselves, but like, how can you like, I don't know, like I spoke to this about with Elder, Miss Elder Brenda, Elder Jackson, about this like being in a relationship, like, you know, it gets to that point where it's hurting you so much to be in it, but it also hurts because you want to end it. And that's like where I'm at right now. Like I'm just at this point where it's like my boyfriend is kind of like right now the only person I be around, hang around. He's like my only friend. And so it's just kind of like, it is harder for me to just to be like, okay, like, you know, I'm done with you. You know, I can't just get up and do it so quickly because I have, you know, I feel like I have related so much to him in a way. It's kind of like I feel like I can't live without him. And I know I can. I have before, you know.